Rule 28, and we're going to go over your assignment. So let's go ahead and get started. What do you say, my fellow co-star chipmunk?
Okay guys, let's go ahead and jump into the agenda for today. Before we get started, a couple of reminders and clarifications on the STEM project. So, remember, on the STEM project, you're building a canoe, and the objective is, or the challenge is, to see who can get their canoe to hold the most amount of pennies, okay? Now, the key is that whenever you put the amount of pennies in your canoe, and when you stop putting pennies in, that is when the timer should start, and we need to have your canoe floating with that weight for at least 2 minutes, okay? Hits the 2-minute mark, then it's successful and you're good to go. Now, if you put a bunch of pennies in there and it sinks, well, then you got to start over and maybe lower your expectations a little bit as far as how much money you put in there, or you can redesign your boat to maybe hold more pennies, right? And so we will see who gets that challenge done. Remember, this boat has to be made from scratch. Therefore, you cannot take an old toy boat or something that, you know, cutting a pop bottle in half, something that would already float, and put it in there and pile a bunch of pennies in. This has to be done from scratch. So remember, your materials: aluminum foil, straws, tape. I don't mind if you use natural resources as far as like sticks or leaves or something like that outside that you can gather in to supplement some of those materials. Also, you can use craft sticks, which would also be known as like popsicle sticks, and you could hot glue those together if you would like. But you need to make sure you use aluminum foil, straws, and tape as part of your canoe, okay? So, to clarify, make sure you use those, but you can bring in other materials, but you need to kind of make it fair and make sure that it's something that you're putting together and building from scratch, not necessarily just taking something that already floats and then wrapping this stuff around it and calling that good. All right, that's not what we're looking for here. So you've got to design it. So your planning process should already be done. You should have your materials gathered up. And when you send me a video, the video presentation is going to be you talking about your building process, okay? What you made it out of. And then you can also, in the video, show your boat with the pennies in it floating. So you would start your presentation out: hey, Mr. Wright, this is my project. This is what my project's made out of, how I built it. And as you can see, it is floating as we sit here, and it is holding however many pennies you have in there, okay? And then you can say, thank you for watching, bye, Mr. Wright. You know, however you want to end your video. It doesn't have to be very long. You don't have to record the whole 2 minutes of it floating. Just it floating with the weight in there as you are presenting to prove that it did hold those pennies and that it is a successful attempt, okay? And then make sure your parents send me those videos using WeTransfer so that the quality is really good. Last week worked out really well. The videos I got, much, much better quality. It's going to make the iMovie even better. I have the new iMovie coming out from the car wash within the next day, so be looking for that. And then I'll be starting on last week's Trash to Treasure iMovie, okay? And I'll get those posted for you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the assignments for today. What do you think, Phoenix? I appreciate you joining us. And for some reason, our throat's kind of cleared up a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't come back by the end of this video, right? Yeah.
Our voices just sound normal now. And the first thing we talked about was kind of chickmonkey.
Yeah, it was a little chickmonkey. We'll just have to see how it works. It might come back. But step number 1, you should have already done this before you actually got to the video. Checking in for your attendance. Now, we have gone, I think, today, if we have perfect attendance, it'll be 16 days in a row. Talk about how awesome our class is. The absolute best. So let's keep building on that. Let's see how many perfect days. Let's take these perfect days to the end of the school year and really just set the bar super high for everybody else in the school district. You guys are already way, way up there, and I just have the best class possible. So make sure you get those check-ins. Make sure you're turning in your daily assignments. Good, clean pictures with good lighting, not blurry. Sent to me, name, date, mailbox number at the top. You know the drill. So today we're starting with daily language and math. Right, Phoenix? So at the top we have correct these sentences. You know what to do there. Use those editor's marks to find any and all mistakes on those. Pretty straightforward. You guys have been doing great on that. Analogy, we've talked about this several times where it's a comparison between two things. All right, so fish is to school. So when you talk about fish and how they gather, okay, basically a school of fish, what would you call wolves that are in a group? Okay, there is a word for that. So fish is to school as wolves are to, and then put your answer. 4 and 5 have to do with the dictionary. We talked about those guide words at the top of the page. The guide word represents the first word on that page and the last word on that page. So it says if the guide words on the page were orbit and organize, which word would be on that page? I had to write on that page because it didn't copy well in your packet. So now that you should have your daily language and math, Tuesday, number 18, out in front of you as you are watching this, because that's the tip that I told you guys to do. It's really going to help you. So now you have this paper in front of you. I want you to write on the page. You can fill that in because it didn't copy right. So you're going to look and see. Remember, comparing the first letter, if they have the same first letter, you go to the second letter. If they have the same second letter, you go to the third letter until you find a difference, all right? You're trying to find the word that would be on this same page. So alphabetically, it has to be between orbit and organize, okay? And so that's just kind of a review of our dictionary work that we've already done. If you have any questions, please let me know, all right? So down at the bottom, you have your math, okay? You have a subtraction problem. It does have a decimal in it, but remember, with addition and subtraction of decimals, the decimal point just comes straight down. So the first thing you want to do, since you have your paper in front of you, you can do this right now. Put a decimal point right underneath this column of decimals. Now just go ahead and subtract like you normally would. Subtract your tenths, subtract your ones, subtract your tens, do any regrouping if needed, but you already have your decimal point placed, okay? Number 2, you have regular subtraction. You need to rewrite this in vertical form to show your work. Make sure you do any regrouping and show that work. Number 3 talks about what is the range of this set of data. Now, when we talk about data, we actually had a very thick packet that we worked on throughout this year that you have in your bag of school supplies that your parents picked up just a few weeks ago. Our data packet is what we called it. It talked about MMR, median, mode, range, and then we also talked about the mean, okay? Now, I will have an anchor chart, okay, that I will attach to this post that actually goes over all of this information, okay? So what you'll do is that you can review this. Remember, the median is the man in the middle. The mode is the one you see the most. The range, which the definition is on here, you're going to find the difference between the maximum and the minimum. But before you do anything, our number 1 step on this anchor chart, and that we've always done, is before you find anything, you have to put the data in order from least to greatest, okay? So, first thing you do, put the data that they give you in order from least to greatest. Then to find the range, you're going to take the maximum number, which will be the number at the end when you put them in order, minus the minimum number, which is the number you put at the beginning when you put these in order, and you're going to subtract those two. Now, I do want to see that work, okay? To get credit for the work on this page, on this problem right here, you need to make sure that you have written this data, because it's not in order from least to greatest. Then you need to go ahead and do your subtraction problem to solve for your range. Okay, I need those 2 things to get full credit on this particular problem, and then you can put your answer on the line. Okay, now for number 4 over here, you have a number line, and it says mark an X on the number line to show 17. You can either do an X or you can do a point. We normally do a point on a number line, so I actually prefer that better. But you have to pay attention to how much each one of these little points on the line are worth. Because if I start counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 10 comes next, you know that each one of these is not worth 1. So you have to figure out and label how much is each one of these lines on this number line worth, and then put where 17 would be on this problem, okay? That's how you're going to show your work. Fill out the number line, what each one of these represent, and then put a point on the line where 17 is. And then for number 5, I had to fill in some because it didn't write as well, so since you have your paper in front of you, go ahead and do that now. It says Cindy was swimming laps one morning. I had to put the NG on the end of morning. She did 15 laps of freestyle, which is a type of swim, and then 12 laps of butterfly stroke, and 10 laps of breaststroke. How many in all did Cindy swim? Okay, so underline the question, circle your important information. Go ahead and stop your video right now. Hopefully Phoenix isn't in the way. You can see that. You can pause the video, put in these right here, and then that way I should see this on your work. That shows me that you're really watching these videos carefully and following directions. So that is daily language and math. All right. Now on to the next assignment. In your packet, as well as the daily language and math, you have a passage called Comments. It's scientific text, which is also known as nonfiction text or expository text or informational text. We know those three names that represent true information. So, of course, you always want to number your paragraphs. You should have your highlighters, okay? If you don't have highlighters, maybe you could supplement with crowns or something like that. But go ahead and pick your colors, okay, for each question like we always do. And I'm just going to run through these. These are all things that we've already talked about. So compare and contrast, finding the alikes and differences between two or more things. Sequencing is chronological order, putting events in order of which they happen. You know what text evidence is. Also, you have cause and effect. Remember, the cause is the why it happened. The effect is what happened as a result. Which of these following words has a Greek root that means measure? Okay, now root words basically are prefixes and suffixes and things like that. Measure. Look at one of these words here and think about which one of these words represents something you would use to measure something with. Okay, so would you use a telescope to measure something with?
No.
No, not at all. Okay, would you use a photograph to measure something?
No.
Okay, you get the idea. See, it's not even that hard, right, Phoenix?
Nope.
So then you have context clues, which means that you're trying to figure out the meaning of an unknown word based on how it's used in the passage. So go back and find this word in the passage. Look at the other words around it. Maybe think about some synonyms that would fit in place of that, and then pick your definition for this particular word, and it's dissipate, okay? All right, so very last assignment for the day. All right, we have daily geography. You have your teaching page. Review our information that we've already talked about in a previous video, and definitely review your vocabulary, okay? Review that vocabulary, go over it, because it's going to help you with some of your answers. Now, we have our map. Of course, we have our key or legend that represents our symbols that are represented on the map. Don't forget about that San Andreas fault line. It causes all those earthquakes in California and all the other things that we've talked about as far as waterways and things. And then you can take a look at your questions. Today, I want you to do, we're going to go ahead and finish up this assignment, and you're going to do Thursday's questions, okay? You're going to do Thursday and Friday's questions. Let me repeat that. You're going to do Thursday's questions, 1 and 2, and Friday's questions, 1 and 2. All right? So, don't forget, is Sacramento located in a valley or is it in a mountainous region? Okay, so you have to look at the map and see where Sacramento is located. Is it in the midst of some mountain ranges or is it more in the midst of a valley? And so you can find that information on your map. Don't forget that checklist in your portfolio that tells you you are writing a good 4th grade sentence. Capitalization, punctuation, restate part of the question in your answer, okay? So is Sacramento located in a valley or in a mountainous region? I would say Sacramento is located in a, and then put your answer. That restates part of the question, and I'm going to circle that to show what part I used in my answer, okay? I still have a few that are leaving periods off the end of sentences. Guys, those are easy points. You should know by now, capitalization, punctuation, and restating, those are 3 out of the 4 points I'm giving for this answer, okay? So even if you get the answer wrong, you're still in pretty good shape if you do those 3 other things that we've been working on and that you've been doing for multiple years, okay? So, check your work over. You know, Mr. Wright always preached in the classroom, before you get up out of your chair and you turn that paper in the tray, check your work over, go over every problem, make sure there's nothing that you left off so that you can get the best possible grade. Have mom and dad take a look at it if you need to, okay? But get this turned in to me with a good picture in a text message or email, good lighting, not blurry, not upside down or sideways. good, clean pictures. Please look at them before you send them, and it really helps me out a lot. Okay? Thank you very much for doing that. And then, like I said, you are doing Thursday and Friday's questions, and then the challenge is optional, okay? So if you want to go ahead and do the challenge, I'll do what I did last time and throw in some extra credit for you, okay? Now, if you don't do the challenge, then you don't get extra credit. But if you do the challenge, it can help boost your grade even more by throwing in that little extra, and usually the challenge isn't all that difficult. So that's your option. You want the extra credit? Get it done. All right, so just wanted to reiterate those things about making sure that you hit that check-in button on Google Classroom. Remember, your canoe STEM project is due on Friday. Hopefully you're already starting to work on that. I already have some kids that I've been talking to. They've already gotten started, and I'm excited to already see some progress on that. So don't wait till the last minute, because if you do, you're going to have to throw together something that's not going to be your best work. And we want to make sure that you're giving it your all. I want to see some really great canoes, and I am interested to see how many pennies do you think will be the max that somebody will be able to get their canoe to hold? How many pennies do you think?
10.
10? You think that's all? 10?
Maybe 20.
Okay. Well, like I said, I tell you what, we're going to build one as well and see how many that we can get to hold in a canoe.
Or 21.
Maybe 21, maybe 41, right?
65.
So we are building one as well, so we're going to have something up against what you guys are doing. So make a good structure. Remember, has to be built from scratch. If you have any questions about what you're supposed to do, go back to the beginning of this video and rewatch my instructions there again, or you can call or text me, okay? Glad to help. I think that just about does it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Huh? Uh-oh, your voice came back again. Well, we better get going.
Oh no, it happened to me too.
Alright. We'll tell the kids bye. Alright, keep working hard, guys. Keep up. Let's meet that goal. And we'll be making a separate post. I forgot to tell that. One more thing. I will be making a separate post today voting for the challenge, okay? I'm rounding up all the different ideas, and we are going to have another post. Make sure you get your vote in there, okay? In the meantime, keep working hard.
Stay tuned.
And stay tuned.